a momentous year of boxing on ITV. We have been ringside at most of the world title fights, and one of the problems we have in looking back over 1987 is what to leave out. Sharing the review with me is one of the shrewdest judges in the game, the former world lightweight champion, Jim Watt. Jim, how do you rate 1987?
I think it's been a very good year. We've seen quite a few surprises, one or two shocks. We've seen a couple of dominant world champions dethroned, and at long last we've seen the heavyweight division tidied up, and that once again we have one heavyweight champion. Yes, it's been a very good year.
So, Tyson, Hagler, Leonard, Hearns, Marsh, Bruno, names that evoke so many explosive memories. And we plan to distill the best of what has happened from the hours of action that we've presented. We thought it suitable to start with the super fight, a contest that brought together two legends, marvellous Marvin Hagler and the charismatic Sugar Ray Leonard. No fight in history has generated such a financial bonanza, but it was a confrontation the skeptics couldn't really quite come to terms with. Jim, did you think the fight should have happened before it did?
I was one of the people who didn't think the fight should have taken place. Leonard had retired because of medical reasons. He come back, he had never established himself as a middleweight, yet he was asked to challenge a man who had dominated the division for years. I didn't think the fight should have taken place, but on the night, Leonard proved us all wrong.
Well, a capacity crowd of 15,000 at Caesars Palace, Las Vegas, and a worldwide television audience of 300 million witnessed the super fight, which was hyped up in the very best American tradition.
12. He has successfully defended his crown, but his next victory might be the sweetest of them all. He has won Olympic gold and 2 world championships. Now, he will attempt the greatest comeback in boxing history. It's fury versus finesse. War has been declared.
I got H-U-R-T written in my mind, and that's hurt.
Now he tries to fight back, takes the right hand, takes the left hand, turns against the ropes, he's on rubber legs.
I'm not known to be a big puncher. I'm known to be a consistent puncher. And the first one doesn't get you, I'll get you with the next one.
2 minutes remaining, a right hand, and that hurts him in the third sense of really. Hearns is not down yet. A left hand, as Ray thought his man was going to go, and he didn't, and Hearns is still on his feet.
The superstars of show business were there to add an extra sheen to this glossy multi-million-dollar blockbuster. It was one of those occasions that commanded their presence.
Well, Leonard keeps telling us that he's seen the flaws now in Hagler. He's just not the fighter he thought he was. He spotted that, he thought, when he fought John McGarvey. Well, let's find out if he's right. He's doing well enough. We've seen this before where 1 or 2 fighters have given Hagler, oh, the bolo punch, showed it to him and landed it. That's a strange tactic, I would think, Jim. Letting him hang on the rope, the old alley stuff. But he's such a confident and cocky character, isn't he, Leonard?
But he's getting away with it. Hagler doesn't seem to be able to match him for sharpness of punch. He's taken too long. A good left hand from Hagler. Okay, when Hagler gets through it, he's troubling Leonard, but he doesn't seem to have the sharpness that Leonard has. Now it's time now for the big drive from Hagler, and I think we're getting it now.
Right above our commentary position, those left hooks of Hagler's went in. He's pinned now Leonard in his own corner. I thought Leonard tried to shake his head as if to say, you haven't hurt me, but I'm sure he has. In the 9th now, midway through, and he's going to fight his way out of it again. Maybe he was shaking his head to really take the confidence away there from Hagler. He'd hit him with his best shots and nothing had happened. What a tremendous round. May combine them to short bursts of punches, Leonard, but they're spectacular when he lets them go. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are rather surprised at Leonard's bravery. That's always been underestimated, Jim. That's why he's been such a great fighter.
Be my man. You made these people take noise, you got them crazy.
Looking to the corner, I don't know why he's bothering to do that, because he's not showing any distress.
I think Dundee is telling him he's in front, just stay out of trouble. I think Angela Dundee feels that Leonard has done enough to lift the title tonight. He's just saying, keep out of trouble. Sugar Ray, the chants are coming in. I don't know whether that will influence the judges. It may well do. 60 seconds then, and we're going to see a bit of fight history here. The great comeback, the Ali shuffle, the tassel boots. The man who was America's great hero in the Olympic Games. Germany's going to get this decision now.
Yeah, well, he's always been the country's favourite, that's for sure. But if he does get it tonight, nobody can say he doesn't deserve it. He's really shocked me with the way he's gone for winning condition and the show he's put up tonight, the sharpness he has in his punches, his moves, the way he's always put his punches together better than Hagler.
Well, I tell you, they can toss the old adage about they never come back now. If this fella gets the decision, he's done it. Or has he? This really is a sweaty palm time now. And he's caught him in the last now. Surely not in the dying seconds in his own corner, Leonard. No, the bell's done it. Leonard says he's won, so does Hagler. And now we've got to await the officials. There it is. It's a split one.
Judge Filippo scores the bout. 115, Marvin Hagler. 113, Ray Leonard.
Well, that's a 2-point margin, obviously, and that's pretty clear.
Scores the bout. 118, Leonard. 110, Hagler.
Oh, what a big one he's gone there for Leonard. Now here it is then.
And Judge David scores 115, 113. By the winner, by a split decision, and 2.
Leonard has done it by a split decision.
But Jim, they're still talking about that decision. Hagler was certainly a very bitter man after the fight. Did you think that Leonard won?
Well, it was a very close fight, but as I sat there at ringside, as soon as the fight was over, I felt Leonard had done enough to win. I felt his good work showed a lot more imagination than Hagler, and I think the main difference between the two fighters that night was that Leonard went in with a plan. He knew what he was going to try to do, but Hagler went in as though, I'm the bigger man, eventually things are going to go my way. And by the time Hagler found out that it wasn't going to happen like that, he hadn't enough time, he ran out of time. So I feel on the night Leonard did enough to win.
Leonard did announce his retirement with a twinkle in his eye. The promoters seemingly can achieve the impossible. Do you think they'll get Leonard back in the ring?
I don't think Leonard will come back into the ring again. I don't think so. I think he found it a lot harder than he thought it would have been. I think the idea was good. He enjoyed the idea of coming back and winning a title, beating Marvin Hagler, but I don't think there's anything else left to tempt him back into the ring again. I'll be very surprised if Leonard ever boxes again.
Will Hagler come back?
I think Hagler will probably come back. He's such a fabulous career the man's had. I don't think he'll want to leave on a loss. I don't think he'll ever achieve the greatness that was once his aim, because I think Leonard has ruined that. But I don't think Marvin Hagler will want to leave on a defeat.
Well, perhaps the best man to entice Hagler back into the ring is Thomas the Hitman Hearns, who has a new tag now. He's the history man because he's the only fighter to have won world titles and 4 different weight divisions. By the end of 1986, he'd won the world light middle and welterweight titles. And then in March of this year, along came Dennis Andries and the WBC light heavyweight crown.
Because the Motor City Cobra has got him with a right hand. Oh, he's got him with a right, and that did hurt.
I don't think he's going to make it. No, I think he's beaten. He's in trouble.
Box on, says the referee. Now, can he survive this? That was a big right. He's in desperate trouble. This has got to be the end of Dennis Andries as the world champion. Or has it? Down twice in the 6th. Trying to clear his head.
He won't survive if the ref allows it to go on. There's no way he'll survive.
Down for a 3rd time. The 3 knockdown rule does not apply. Hearns says he's won it already. Andries, what a brave man. He's up again. Box on. He's gonna He's gone, though. He's surely gone badly here, Andries. But what bravery. He's going to hang on, backed away into his own corner. Hearns pouring on the punches, the crowd on their feet. Andries, how is he staying on his feet? How's he staying up there, Andries? They're both down nearly. Not a knockdown, that one, says the referee. He's bought a bit of time, I suppose, as Andries.
Well, I don't see how Dennis can possibly survive this, and you know, he's only going to get hurt like this.
Well, it's instinct keeping him going, but there's a world title at stake. He's holding, I suppose his corner must be hoping he's going to make it back. Hearns senses the world title at his feet, and Andries is clinging on to him round his legs now. What's this say to you about Thomas Hearns, the light heavyweight, Terry?
Well, he's showing immense power. His power is only matched by Dennis's bravery, unfortunately.
That cut. But, oh, he got him with a left there. I thought he got him with a left hand there.
He caught him with a punch, I'm quite sure of it.
Is there a count there or what? No count. I thought he got him with a good left there.
I thought I saw a left hand, unless it was wishful thinking on my part.
Andries isn't gone yet by any means. And, well, I certainly thought the referee should have looked for a count in that one. Oh, Dennis on his back. And getting a count for that, well, that's ridiculous. Oh, dearie me. He stopped him. He stopped him now. Well, pure exhaustion at the end of it. He went to the wrong corner. Look at the elation from Hearns.
A real hammering handed out by the hitman. He'd won his third world title. Well, it was in the cool desert air of Las Vegas that Hearns set about rewriting the history books. Juan Roldan was to be his opponent, with the vacant WBC middleweight title at stake. And victory for the versatile Hearns would establish him as the only fighter to win world titles in 4 weight divisions.
But Roldan only knows one way to fight, and that is coming forward. Often crude, no real defense. Fights in flurries, damaging his opponents, wearing people down, and Hearns gets the big right in early on, and he's got him in the first! He's got him in the first, Hearns! He's going to try and make history here, and it's history being repeated, because Duran was bombed early on. Now, can he come back here, Roldan? Hearns has got his measure, he's got his distance. A buzz around the car park here at the Hilton Hotel. Roldan with those big, thudding, awkward punches, and another good right comes in from Hearns, and he's something of a sitting target for that one. And again. Little left this time. Brilliant round for Hearns. And he's got him again. And he might not beat the count. He can't be saved by the bell except in the last round. Mills Lane takes him back to his corner. What a start to what could be a historical night here. Hearns getting over $1 million. Roldan $250,000. But he knows that riches await him if he manages to be the man to stop Tommy Hearns from making history. He's got him with a left, and Hearns' legs have gone rubbery again. And Hearns is trapped in Roldan's corner. Hearns' legs all over the shop. We said don't write Roldan off, and he's come bulldozing his way back into this fight. And Hearns has severe problems. He's trying to fight his way out of them. Minute gone. Round 4. Now Now Hearns looks to turn the tables, and he's got him with a right! What a fight this is! The crowd are on the edge of their seats here. One moment, Hearns looks as though he's got severe problems, and then he turns it right round again.
That punch from Hearns was as good as the punches that scored the knockdowns, but Roldan seems to have warmed a little bit more to the task now, and he's taken those shots. That was a tremendous right hand. I expected Roldan to go over from that one.
Well, it was a difficult fight to call. A lot of different views around the bars and hotels here in Las Vegas. The bookmakers made Hearns a favourite. Roldan's corner disagreed with it and put $50,000 on their man, but that money looks gone now. And surely Roldan, even the brave man, can't get up from that. Hearns is seconds away from history. He's out. Hearns has done it. His fourth world title in sensational style. The one that he really wanted. Hearns is an all-time great. And what a fantastic 4 rounds we've had here in Las Vegas. He's on top of the world.
All right, Tommy, you wanted 4 titles, you got them. You wanted another opportunity at Sugar Ray Leonard. You wanted another opportunity at Marvin Hagler. Let's see what Marvin's got to say about that possibility.
Well, I'm still evaluating the situation here. We'll see what happens.
Well,
at least I want someone to take care of my belts real good, though, until I come back, if I come back.
I hope that we can get together and do it again. That's another my wish, Marvin. Thank you.
Well, Jim, Hagler Hearns, is it going to happen? And why? Hagler earned $23 million out of the Leonard fight.
Well, it's difficult for us to imagine how a man can earn $23 million in one night and still go home in a bad mood. But that's exactly what happened to Hagler. He lost greatness that night. He was achieving greatness, and then that one night he lost it. So he's not thinking financial now. He's thinking of trying to re-establish himself. And it's no good Hagler coming back at a lower level. He has to come back at top level. And a fight with Tommy Hearns is top level. Also, he's facing a man who is already convincingly defeated. So it's a great opportunity for Hagler to get back up onto that pedestal again, and I really think he'll take that opportunity.
Now, Hearns, it's a tremendous achievement winning world titles at 4 different weights. Put that into perspective for us.
Well, it's a fabulous achievement when you think of some of the great fighters who have tried and failed. But when you break it down into individual achievements, he's defeated 2 great champions, Pepino Cuevas and Wilfredo Benitez. The other 2 fighters he beat, Dennis Andrews and Roldan, were not quite great fighters, but it's all about being there at the time. The job has to be done. Hearns was there at the time, and he did that. It was a fabulous achievement, and to be a 10-stone 7 world champion and go all the way through to a 12-stone 7 world champion, that is an achievement.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Jim, for the moment anyway. We've seen the history man, we've seen the super fight. Next in the arena is the Superman. Yes, it's Iron Mike Tyson after the break. Welcome back. Mike Tyson put behind him a delinquent childhood and youth and found that a controlled and legalized violence could win him a world heavyweight title. It did at the record age of 20 years and 5 months. Since then, he's become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Jim, a lot of people say that he could be very great. Others are more cautious with their praise. How do you rate Tyson?
Well, I think Tyson has the potential to be great, but I think it's just a little bit early to call him great at this moment. Too often we throw that word around and we're let down. But he's wiped out the division at this moment in time. But the only way to achieve greatness is to defeat great fighters. And at the moment, there are no other great fighters around. But as time goes on, someone will come along and give Tyson the chance to prove his greatness. But certainly tremendous potential.
Well, having won the WBC title from Trevor Berbick, he pursued the unification trail, and his next target was James Bonecrusher Smith and the WBA crown.
In April, the Bonecrusher clearly came to survive. A thriller, even an upset had been forecast, but it turned into a dull, monotonous 12-rounder, with the WBA champion having tasted the Tyson power early on, grabbing and holding the Ironman throughout the contest. Bonecrusher had tried to taunt and torment the young man, but apart from the odd punch after the bell and a "Yah, why don't you try and hit me?" Tyson did not overreact. Certainly he was frustrated and bewildered by the tactics, and he could not shake off the spoiling Smith, but he did win virtually every round and the WBA title. Then came a voluntary defense against Pinklon Thomas.
think that Tyson's so used to going in and racking guys on the chin and knocking them cold and walking away. I think Smith just proved a point that, you know, the kid is not invincible.
I'm always there to fight. I'm always there to get the people their money's worth.
He holds both the belts. So I respect him. I have to respect him because he's a champion. But the night of the fight, after the bell ring, I have no respect for him at all.
Oh, he got the job done there. I think he must have heard you there, Jim. What a peach of a left hook that was. And he's going to do it in the sixth because he's only midway through. And this is the way he finishes him off now. The master of the finishing stuff. What a fighter. Absolute ferocious. And what a game man. He took every punch in the book there, Pinkland Thomas. He is not going to make this in the sixth round. And your heart goes out with him. The embarrassment of him being knocked out like that with all the heart in the world. He can't control the legs. But what a tremendous finish there by the Iron Man himself.
Tony TNT Tucker, who'd won the vacant IBF title, was next, and this was the contest that would unify the World Heavyweight Championship. It was not the easy and straightforward affair for Tyson that many had predicted. Tucker certainly came to fight, and he caught Tyson in the first round with an uppercut. But the young man shook it off and kept on coming. Tucker was an elusive opponent, but unlike Bone Crusher Smith, was throwing punches. Tyson constantly applied pressure, but displayed his inexperience when realizing he could not blast his opponent out. But he was continually on top and clearly deserved the unanimous verdict. He was now the king of the heavyweights, and his first defense as the undisputed champion was against Tyrell Biggs.
Oh, what a jab, that one. That's the way to break up the opposition's concentration, and he did it there. As he hit him with that punch, I think his eyes went into separate orbits there. Right in his own corner. Is he going to make an effort to get up? It's got to 8, and he's allowing it to go on, the referee. How long? He won't let him off the hook now, so come on, referee, you can dive in when you like now. And he's waved it all over, that's it. Glad to see that in the 7th. Tyrell Biggs was as brave as you could ever expect a challenger to be. But he was totally outpunched. And let's face it, from a fighting point of view, he was outclassed as well at the finish.
Do you want to fight Larry Holmes?
I'll fight any man in the world because I believe there's no one in this planet that can beat me.
He's dirty. He elbow. He hits behind, he hits after the bell. You know what I mean? He butts with his head. If that's the type of fight he wants, he can get it from me. I am the best. I can thumb. I'm the best thumber in the world. That's what I want to do. I can hit after the bell, and I can hit low. So any way he want to fight, he can get it out of me.
Well, the Tyson-Holmes fight is now a reality. It will take place in Atlantic City on the 22nd of January. Are you looking forward to that fight, Jim?
Well, I look forward to all of Mike Tyson's fights, but with this one I have some slight reservations. I really wish the fight wasn't taking place. Larry Holmes has always been a very proud man, but I think he's too old for the job. He proved in his career, in the last couple of years of his career, he was slightly past his best. He was struggling to keep the title. He's coming back now against a real tough world champion. He proved in his career he was the bravest man in the world, and that's what worries me, because he's so proud and so brave. There's a chance he could take a beating here. I wish the fight wouldn't take place, but obviously I'm excited about it as everybody else is.
It's been said that Mike Tyson can't be regarded as the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world until he beats Michael Spinks. Do you agree, Jim?
No, I don't accept that. I think Tyson really has been accepted as the best heavyweight in the world today. I think what we should do, we should look at Michael Spinks' achievements at heavyweight. Now, 2 hotly disputed verdicts over Larry Holmes, which I didn't agree with. Then he's beaten a lazy heavyweight, obviously well past his best, in Cooney. I don't think he did anything in those 2 fights, or those 3 fights, to suggest he has the power or speed to trouble Tyson. I don't think he can defeat Tyson. I don't think there's enough power, speed, or whatever. Tyson punches as fast as Spinks does, and I don't think Spinks can cope with him.
Well, it's thought that the Tyson-Spinks fight might not take place until 1989, so he might have to sit and wait or perhaps concern himself with non-title encounters. Of course, our own Frank Bruno is going to get his chance, but I think his #1 ranking is somewhat inflated if it's based on what happened in London 2 months ago. Who would have thought that 30,000 people would pay up to £2 million on a cold October night in the open air at White Hart Lane to see Frank Bruno fight a 37-year-old, 18.5-stone Joe Bugner, who had shunned his British nationality to become an Australian and turn out a brash convert too.
It's a long time since Bugner's been asked to cope with a jab like that coming at him. If you look at his opponents over there, see what? Yeah,
and he's down. He clubbed him with the right hand, and he won't go down, Bugner. At that point, he didn't even put the knees on the canvas. He tried to absorb the punches, and that was a pretty brave effort of his, perhaps foolish. And he's getting 7, 8, 9, and he's going to let him box on, and he's pinned in Bruno's corner, and it won't go surely now. The towel has come in from the Australian's corner, and Bugner doesn't know why at that point, and at least he's had the professional's pride, Jim, of staying on his feet. That I hand it to him. He took a lot of stick there, and I don't know whether it was his wife who made the cornermen do it, or they did it under their own steam. Probably they did. They threw the towel in.
It was a part of my life, and I couldn't have walked the streets tonight if Joe would have beat me. He's a very good, experienced guy. A lot of people knew he was experienced. They knew it was a good fight. A lot of people thought he was going to beat me tonight. All of England was on my back, and I had to knock him out, and I did knock him out. And this is all for people, a Christmas present for everybody.
Proud of Frank Bruno because he did the job fantastic.
And after over 500 rounds, the Peter Pan time has ended, and you're deciding to call it a day. Why is that?
Absolutely. Well, I think boxing's going to miss me tremendously. I really do think so. Even though with this tremendous turnout tonight, I think the fans will miss me tremendously because I think they always need a bad guy in the gang, and I was it. But they'll have to find another one. Maybe Frank can be the bad guy for a while.
Joe Bugner did cast himself in the role of baddie, but he went out with a certain style, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he did. He came over. It was a losing battle all the way through for Joe, but he was taking some real stiff jabs, and he was really getting quietly tuned up. It wasn't a dramatic fight where he was up and down or all over the place, but it was a steady, punishing fight for him. But he stuck to his task until eventually he had no resistance left. But yeah, as you say, he went out in style. He gave us a show.
Now, the $64,000 question. Frank Bruno versus Mike Tyson.
Well, I feel the world is full of heavyweights who don't have a great chance of beating Mike Tyson, and unfortunately Big Frank Bruno is one of those. I don't really think he has a realistic chance of beating Tyson. He has a couple of basic flaws which have never been ironed out. I don't think it's possible to iron them out. He's too tall, he stands too tall, he's too stiff, and he hasn't really learned how to take a real punishing punch. And I think Tyson will be far too fast for him, and I really don't think Frank has the equipment to seriously trouble Tyson. But again, it could be an attractive fight for as long as it lasts, but I don't really feel Frank has enough armoury to beat Tyson.
So Bruno looks ahead to 1988 and another world title crack. But what about the other British achievements? Well, it was a year that started very well for us. Sadly, though, it ended disappointingly. The chirpy Cockney, Terry Marsh, had fought his way to a world title while still pursuing his career as a firefighter. In a circus tent especially erected at Basildon, he was appearing before his hometown crowd on the biggest night of his life, and the atmosphere generated was unbelievable. It inspired Terry to a performance of passion and power against Joe Louis Manley, the like of which we had not seen before from the Londoner.
Just losing a bit of that composure now, Manley, Jim. He came out all good stance, good balance, but he's lost a bit of it.
Well, we heard about Manley's classy punches, his classy moves. He hasn't been allowed to do anything. Marsh, although sometimes crude, has totally dictated the action as he's doing now.
It certainly can't be weight making in Manley's case, because he looks really, he could almost do the lightweight division at 9.9. Below this one, 9.12 and a half he came in. Well, as we get the countdown then for the end of the ninth, it's Marsh all the way at this stage. Oh, what punches! And the referee, the bell may sound, but the referee would have to continue counting. He's shoving Marsh back to a neutral corner. He's giving him the standing 8 count, but the bell has gone at the end of that count of 8, and that's quite right. The referee continued at the end of the round of the count there.
Jim, let's have a look at that tremendous...
Beautiful punch, yeah. That's all Marsh needed at this point. If I look at that, bang on the chin, over it went, caught him actually on the way down. Definitely saved by the bell. Marsh lets go with a left hook, bang, and on the way down, he seems to land another right hand. Over it comes, bang. There's the left hook. There's the right hand on the way down.
So, can he continue this punishment now, Terry Marsh? The crowd, as you can see, dancing all over the place. This is an asphalt surface here. In the 10th round now, it looks as though Terry Marsh is going to become the champion of the world because Randy Newman has clutched him in his arms. This lad has worked really hard all his career. He's one of the most respected people in the boxing business, and indeed, I think in the fire service, in the Royal Marines, and it couldn't happen to a nicer fellow. And I tell you, Jim, that's one of the best British victories we'll see in a long time, isn't it?
Terry, the new champion, congratulations. What a performance.
The new champion of the world. I want to hear you say it.
Yes, the new champion of the world.
Yeah.
Fantastic performance. Nobody really thought that was going to happen like that tonight.
You never said that to me.
What did I say to you?
You said you thought I was going to win.
Well, I didn't think you were going to win at such a pace. What a tremendous start.
Yeah, that was good. I'm a little bit worried though, Gary, because I went to sleep this afternoon, had some rest before the fight. I don't remember waking up, so it may be a dream. I hope to God it isn't.
Then in July, Akio Kameda was the first challenger for Marsh's IBF title. The Japanese southpaw making his second bid for a world title. In round 2, disaster struck. Marsh was cut over the right eye, and it turned out to be a really bad one. But remarkable corner work by Ernie Fossey meant that Marsh could actually continue. He threw caution to the winds, went on all-out attack, and courageously clawed his way back to victory.
Now, it's definitely a question of time, and when I say time, a round or two at the most, I would think for Marsh now, because he's just wearing this fellow down now, the war of attrition, and he's winning it, the old Marine. Kameda's exhausted. He looks as though, yes, he's going to a neutral corner. He doesn't know where he is at this stage. And the second tries to get him back now. The referee won't interfere here. He's got to get back under his own steam, but he can only just make it. He surely doesn't look as though he can go on. The referee's leaving it to the corner before he goes to examine it. And the border control doctor, Adrian Whiteson, is going to climb in to have a quick look, and he's beckoning to the referee that it's all over. So the brass bands are playing there as he raises the IBF belt. And he'll be looking for the big one now, hopefully against Hector the Macho Man Camacho. Although there is a nominated challenger called Frankie Warren, nothing to do with the promoter, who is the #1 contender as well.
The day after signing with promoter Frank Warren to defend his world title against the fighter Frankie Warren, these were the shock headlines that stunned the boxing world. Marsh was an epileptic. And he knew he'd been a victim for some time.
Yes, epilepsy, and since that was diagnosed, a bitter attack on his manager, Frank Warren. It's a sad end to an unbeaten career, Jim, isn't it? It's a very sad end, because I do feel that Terry was well managed. When Terry's chance came to box for the title, with 3 world champions at Terry's weight, and I think he had the lesser of the 3 evils in Manly. And he was given the chance to box in front of his own home supporters in Basildon, which gave him every chance of winning. And when he did win, his first defence was against a man who I believe didn't really deserve a world rating. I feel it's very sorry that the partnership should have soured. Now, another British boxer started the new year as a world champion, Lloyd Hannigan. He caused one of the most remarkable upsets when absolutely crushing the boxer who'd been regarded as perhaps the best pound-for-pound fighter of his time, Don Curry. Hannigan stunned the world with his explosive performance in becoming the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. Coincidentally, Jim Watt holds the record of 4 successful world title defences by a British boxer, and Lloyd Hannigan was trying to equal that in a fight against the Mexican Vaca when he suffered that very unfortunate and controversial defeat. You remember, they deducted points from him after what was called an accidental clash of heads. Jim, let's get your views on that.
Well, an injury stoppage obviously is never a conclusive ending, especially when it was obviously not a punch that caused the injury. But I don't really feel a 12-round fight should be decided after 7 rounds. I think maybe it would be better if they stopped the fight, declared the title vacant, ordered an immediate rematch between the fighters, then each fighter could receive 50% of the purse money. They would both go home happy, they would both be earning again, and maybe we would come out with a real winner.
But what about Lloyd Hannigan's performance, though, Jim?
By Hannigan's own standards, it was a very poor performance. I don't feel that was the real Lloyd Hannigan that night. We've learned since he had a lot of personal problems, injury problems. But I also feel that maybe the final straw that broke the camel's back, Hannigan was trying to sell 3,000 tickets for a world title defence and struggling to do so. But 4 days earlier, 2 big heavyweights with no title at stake packed 30,000 people in, Bugner and Bruno. I really think that, and every time Lloyd picked up the paper, you had headlines, Bruno, Bugner, all over the page, and down in the corner, by the way, Lloyd Hannigan is defending a world title. I think that must just have broken Lloyd's heart, but no way was that the real Lloyd Hannigan in the ring that night.
Now, one fighter has emerged in 1987 as a tremendous prospect, the East London middleweight Nigel Benn. 12 fights, 12 wins, all inside the distance, and remarkably 8 of them in the first round. With me reviewing a year of boxing on ITV. We're going to resume with the next superstars, and first a man who could well be cast in the same mold as his fellow countrymen Salvador Sanchez and Ruben Olivares, Mexico's Julio Cesar Chavez. He is a 25-year-old who has so many qualities, all of which he had displayed in setting up an unbeaten record of 54 wins, 45 inside the distance, including the winning of the WBC super featherweight title. Then he decided to move up to lightweight, and in November squared up to another brilliant fighter, Edwin Rosario. The WBA lightweight title was at stake.
There's a kind of look of resignation on Rosario's face, Jim, here, as he's really wilting a bit and swelling around the face as if to say, what am I going to do with this fellow? And the crowd rising to Chavez as a strong Mexican support.
See, whenever we have a hot exchange, Rosario is always the one who wants to break it off, who wants to back off, or who wants to clinch. It's never Chavez. He always wants to stay there and keep working. We'll see what happens this time.
What a battle this is. There's nothing is slackened at all. You'd think they'd steal a breather of a round somewhere and get out of each other's way for a while. I think the training and the road work and the preparation they must have gone through to keep this pace up, Jim.
Yeah, and there are no signs of Chavez wanting to drop the pace. He's been setting the pace all the way through, and usually the man who sets the pace lasts that little bit better, and it looks as though that's happening here. Now and again, Rosario wants to grab hold and get out of trouble, but at all times, Chavez wants to keep exerting the pressure.
I think they're coming in this corner now, especially for our cameraman, don't you? It's incredible the way they picked this one. So there you are. He's repeatedly warning Rosario, don't hold there. But the referee doesn't score if it goes to 12. That's left to the 3 American judges. What a round this is, Jim. He's holding and hitting a bit as well there, Chavez.
Rosario doesn't seem to have the legs now to get himself out of trouble. Earlier in the fight, in those situations, he was getting out of there, but he didn't have the spring to get out. A little bit more clinching now.
Oh, I think it's on the wall here now, because this really is a complete takeover by Chavez, now the challenger. And we're set for a new champion, it would seem. What a remarkable little fighter he is. 25 years old. And He's never been so pleased to hear the bell there, Rosario. You could see that expression on his face. Watch the elbow there, he's shouting. It's all going in now, I'll tell you that. Chavez can smell the championship. He's given that one up to get another one. Oh, and he's still fighting his heart out there, Rosario. But it's just not good enough against a man who's really been in tremendous... Now, there's a close-up of the eye now. He can't go on with that, even with a round and just a bit to go. It's a tough one now for the Puerto Rican champion. Yes, it looks like it's going to be all over, and it is. Compassionate act there by Richard Steele, and quite right.
Well, that fight lived up to all that was predicted of it. Jim, you were a world lightweight champion. What about Chavez?
Chavez is the complete fighting machine. He had proved at junior lightweight what a tremendous champion he was. The question was, could he come up to lightweight and retain the power? But he seems to have more power at lightweight. Obviously, he has no trouble making the weight now, and he's even more powerful. And he stepped up to face an exceptionally good champion in Rosario. And although it's maybe not fair to Rosario to say that Chavez totally dominated the action, I think we have to admit that he got into the driving seat straight away and just stayed there until he finally ground Rosario down. What a tremendous performance it was.
Well, now to another future superstar, the New York-based Jamaican Mike McCallum. By April this year, he'd built up a 30-fight unbeaten record, 27 victories inside the distance, and in his bid for stardom, he'd had to overcome real adversity.
Tragically, Yvonne, who had shared Mike's life for 15 years, died. But somehow he was inspired to continue with his world title challenge.
And she said to me, Mike, you don't have to worry about me. I'm going into the hospital. I'll take care of the sickness, and everything will be okay. I said, well, fine. That's a good move. So she went in the hospital, and she never came back out alive. Yvonne wanted for me so badly for me to win a championship. I feel that at the time she would be there in my present, and she would be my strength and my guide. But all the obstacles against me. And I went in the ring. I prayed very hard before I went in the ring, and I take it very seriously. I take $30,000 because I wanted to win this title so badly, and I did it.
For the winner, by unanimous decision, Mike the Body Snatcher McCallum.
Although Mike had lost Yvonne so prematurely, he did have their lovely little daughter to love and to cling to. No doubt it is she who has inspired and motivated her dad to even greater glory as the WBA champion. First of all, against Milton McCrory.
Good punches to the body. He's very accurate, McCallum. He's trying to turn a little bit southpaw then to get out of trouble midway through the 10th, McCrory, and struggling. Just shot the right hand over the top there. That'll start the downfall. Well, you're almost in there with them now. You better duck. As I said, he'll stand right on top of him now, McCallum. We won't let this man go. That's not his game at all. The referee there really dying for a reason to get in, but McCrory seemingly won't go down. Yes, he has there. He had to in the end. That avalanche of punches coming in there will get the mandatory 8, but I don't think it's going to help him. Looks like the right time to stop it, and it is too. He's really done McCrory a favour there. In the 10th round, another win. 31 now on the turn for Mike McCallum from Jamaica. A really good champion at the weight, and doesn't he know it? Well, the best punch we've seen so far from McCallum early on was the left hook, but both hands he's dangerous with. Trying to get in and out quickly now, Curry, isn't he? Because he wants to protect the eye a little bit, and he's got more chance of it swelling by the bumping and boring at close quarters. Oh, what a punch out of the blue! The left hook there, and he's not going to make the count, Curry. He thinks the building has fallen in on him there as Richard Steele goes through the formality of the count. That is one of the biggest turn-ups that I've seen in boxing. A one-punch finish if ever I've seen one. And Mike McCallum there was biding his time, He took advantage of the fact that Curry moved back and dropped his arms. An incredible win indeed by Mike McCullum.
Well, it was significant. It was the first round that Curry actually stood off from McCullum, and he paid the price with his left hook.
Well, everybody could see it coming there, couldn't they, except Curry. Now, overhead camera will show it even more. Now, he's just walking away there. Look, see, he just unprotected and paid the penalty. He never realised McCullum's reach was so long or the punch so hard.
Well, that's got to be the punch of the year, Jim, isn't it?
That was a cracking punch. And McCullum actually is one of the fighters that I really admire. He didn't turn professional with all the panache of some of our Olympic champions, but he turned pro, learned his trade the hard way, and he made progress all the way through, improved with every outing, and now he is a great fighter. And now as he's stepping up to middleweight, the middleweight division at this stage is wide open, and I don't see any reason why he shouldn't pick up at least one of the titles.
Well, another fighter destined for superstardom is the Los Angeles Olympian Evander Holyfield. Since turning professional, this 24-year-old from Atlanta, Georgia, has certainly put on the style. He is unbeaten, and he already holds the WBA and the IBF cruiserweight titles. Could he become a superstar, Jim?
Well, he certainly is an exciting fighter and a very talented fighter. He's a relatively new face. We haven't just seen the extent of his ability, but very exciting. And yes, I would stick my chin out and say, yeah, he could be a superstar.
Because he's cruiserweight now, they suggest that he could become a heavyweight and perhaps in '89 fight Mike Tyson.
Well, that's a possibility, but I really feel that he should concentrate on dominating the division he's in at this moment. And once he has done that and proved himself a great champion at that weight, then step up to face Mike Tyson. But that's not a task I would ask too many cruiserweights to do.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Jim. That's 1987. I'd like to wish you a very happy new year.